What's up? It's your girl Brittany B, and I blew a bag. So once upon a time, there was a girl named Brittany B, and honey, she was working a 9 to 5. Okay, I was working at a massage therapy company. So I was a customer service rep, and I worked in quality assurance because, of course, I mean, I'm quality, so gotta make sure it's quality, right? I got a phone call from the VP of Warner Music Group, and he's like, yo, you know, I got a record that you did that I want to cut on one of my artists. Can you come down and vocal produce them? And I'm like, hell yeah, right? So I tell him, he's like, can you be here in an hour? Now, mind you, I worked a shift, it was like 7 a.m. to 4. He called me at like 2. So he technically wanted me to be there at 3. So your girl's sitting there like, how am I gonna get out of work? How am I gonna get out of work? Let me tell you something. I took the longest bathroom break you could ever take. I was like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom, boss. And I never came back. End of story. Honey, I flushed the job and the toilet down the drain as I headed up out of there to go work and get that real check, okay? So I knew I wanted to do music for a really long time. I've been singing since I was about 7 years old, singing at recess, and my friends was like, wow, you had a good voice and things like that. I'm from Compton, California, so, you know, it's really not much out there in my city except for like gangs, violence, drugs, you know, and for me, music was like my gift. And it was something that kept me focused. I always had a 9 to 5. I always worked like call center jobs, admin jobs. I worked at 24-hour fitness, the graveyard shift. I went door to door. I mean, your girl was just working, all right? But at nighttime, I would go to the studio. And so I remember getting a call from one of the VPs of the label, and they were like, come to the studio. You can use the studio from like 8 p.m. to like 3 a.m. So I would go in and I would cut hooks, I would cut songs, and pretty much they just kept calling me back. You know what I mean? Like they loved the records that I was doing. So eventually they had some artists that they wanted to place the records on, and that's when I got that call, like while I was working my job during my shift, like, yo, you think you can come up to the studio and, you know, vocal produce a record for somebody? And I was like, hell yeah. So that's what I did. So I got a call from one of my homies, and he was like, yo, can you roll out with me to Palm Springs to go work with this artist? And I was like, sure, like, yeah, I'll roll with you, you know what I mean? Because at the time I was like hitting the studio at night, singing like background gigs throughout the city, throughout LA, R&B live, different stuff like that, getting like $100 here, $50 there, but it wasn't really cutting it, you know what I mean? So anyway, me and my homeboy, we pack our like little bags, and we about to do a turnaround trip to Palm Springs. So we get in the car, and I'm like, yo, who's the artist that we going to like drive so far for to like work on the records? And he's like, it's a new artist named Theophilus London. And I'm like, okay, cool, like, cool. I never really heard of him or whatever, but he was like really talented. So we get there, we arrive kind of like at night, and I just remember like meeting this really cool guy from like the East Coast and working on a bunch of records that night, right? I'm singing, I'm writing, I'm just doing what, you know, what Brittany B does. And we end up turning back around and coming back. And then I kept working my job, like working my little 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., selling this insurance, you know, picking up the phones, hello, you know, all that stuff. And so then I remember maybe a couple of months later, I get a call from my homeboy, the same dude that I went out to Palm Springs with. And he was like, yo, congratulations, like we got a placement. And I was like, huh? And I was like, what you mean? Because we really didn't do that much work together besides a couple of sessions and that one trip. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, tell me what the information is. And he like, yeah, you got a record with Kanye West on it. And I'm like, Kanye West? And he like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, who's the record? So he's like, it's Theophilus London featuring Kanye West, and you're on the record singing backgrounds on the record, and they taking the stuff that you did for the hook. I'm like, what? So At this point in the game, I'm just like a new songwriter, no publishing deal, no real management, just like hustling on my own. So I remember started getting approached by publishing companies, and I ended up doing like a publishing deal. So I was super geeked because they vetted me out, they went to the studio, they heard all my records, all that stuff. So we go through all the paperwork. Lawyer looks it over, all that great stuff. Signing day, you know, slice the cake, take the little pictures, you know, all that good stuff. So my lawyer tells me, Britt, you're gonna get a deposit in your bank account. And I'm like, all right, cool. And she's like, you know, your deal was for this much. I'm like, all right. I wake up. I remember specifically, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment and I was still working my job, and I had like maybe $200 in my account. I woke up on Thursday morning and it was $100,000 plus the $200 in my bank account. And I was like, oh my God. First of all, I thought the heavens was gonna open up. I was like, like it's money. Like, wow, you know, I look at my account, I'm like, is this a mistake? Like, I don't know. So the first thing I did was, because I'm from the hood, I went to the grocery store and I filled up I remember filling up my refrigerator with everything. I mean, I had cakes and cookies and soda and juice and water. I booked the premium top suite at the SLS. I'm eating sushi. I booked I think it was like a 7-day trip to Vegas because your girl had never been to Vegas before. So I get this $100,000 in my account, quit my job the next day. And first of all, when you sign a publishing deal, there's actually like a time frame on the deal, and then there's also obligations, of course. That's why they give you some money, right? So my deal was like, I don't know, a couple of years, like a 2-year deal. Child, that money's supposed to last me for 2 years. Guess how long it lasted me? 6 months. So the most money that I've ever spent in one day, I'd have to say I spent about $50,000 in 10 minutes. Maybe 15 minutes. I'll tell you how I did that. I had a client who was an artist of mine, and they wanted to build their own studio. And they enlisted me, of course, Brittany B, Bossed Up Brit, to build out their studio. I had, at that point, never seen a black card. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me see what I can do with this, right? So I go ahead and I go into the Guitar Center, honey, and I run amok. I'm grabbing monitors. Excuse me, let me get 2 of those. Let me get 3 of them mics over there. I need a U87 mic for the back. I need, you know what I'm saying? I'm grabbing all the music equipment you could think of, okay? And I'm like, charge it. I'm trying to make her sound like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. So we don't need no cheap equipment over here, all right? So I end up literally going into Guitar Center, and I walk in alone and I walk out with 5 men behind me carrying big old bags, honey. And we done spent, it's 5 men and it's 10 grand in each of their hand, okay? We done spent 50K for the day. And that's the most money I ever spent. I think they got commission, so they was real happy. They were trying to feed me and everything. They was like, you need anything, water? I would say, like, being an African-American woman in the music industry, I'm kind of sort of a unicorn, if that makes any sense. Because I write, I sing, I rap, I produce, and I A&R as well for a label. So I wear a lot of hats. And what I notice is that oftentimes I am overworked and definitely underpaid. All I'm gonna say is I'm single and ready to mingle. I don't think it's necessarily hard to date. I think that men who can handle a woman like myself, a very strong-minded, motivated, classy, young, attractive, sassy, boss bitch like myself, it's hard to find a man like that. It is. They gotta step it up. I'm trying to go, you know what I'm saying, to Catch. I'm trying to go to like Maestro's. I'm trying to go to something nice. Okay, there are 2 rules that Brittany B lives by. 1, I don't let friends live with me. And 2, I don't let friends loan money. Okay? Don't loan them no money. Don't let them stay with me. And I'm gonna tell you why. Those are the 2 ways to end y'all friendships, okay? Because I don't play about my money and I don't play about where I live and where I lay my head. All right, I need peace and positivity, and I need my peace and my pennies, okay? I need my peace and my paycheck. It's crazy because like I'm on a TV show now, you know, I've done television, and of course like done some touring and things like that, and I got 3 gold records and I've hit Billboard. Well, shit, damn, I might, yeah, she might think I'm rich because all of that. I don't know, but no, seriously, she thinks I'm rich, and it's crazy because when we talk on the phone I can tell because the conversation be like that, like I think you rich conversation. So you know, I'll be like, yeah, I went to the jacuzzi today. And she'd be like, jacuzzi? And I'd be like, yeah, I went to the jacuzzi today at my house. And, you know, I just needed to relax. I was on my feet all day. And she's like, wow, like jacuzzi. Because my mother, like, she still lives in Los Angeles, South Los Angeles. And I live in northern Los Angeles, Hollywood. And so she's just like, she'll ask me questions like, you know, like she's like, oh, you know, what did you watch today? And I'll be like, oh yeah, I was watching this on TV. And she like, oh, you watching the game? Oh, you got the NBA package? You got the premium package? Like, I'm like, Ma, it's just an extra $29.99. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that much. I am the newest star on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, okay? I am Brittany B, Bossed Up Brit. The B stands for bags, okay? And that's exactly what I'm about to be getting. I am super grateful, happy to be on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. I think it's an amazing franchise. I think it's an amazing platform if you use it the way that you're supposed to use it and get your bag. Like, don't get caught up in the drama, girl. Like I say, if it don't affect your pay, it don't affect your day. Be on the lookout for me, just a lot more music, a lot more placements. I'm working with a lot of great people, Cash Doll, Summer Walker. I'm working on the Fast and Furious soundtrack right now. I'm working on, of course, Love and Hip Hop. I'm still A&R for all your hottest artists at the label. And more television, more me, more Brittany B. That's it. Look out for it. Yeah.